So this is the second of 5 interviews that we're going to share with you that we recorded down at the distributor conference for Kaishan in Loxley, Alabama a couple weeks ago. Got an opportunity to speak with a lot of different people with decades of experience in the industrial air compressor industry. This next person happened to start out as a compressor service tech years ago, worked his way through and now is a distributor himself and is the owner of his company. He's worked with a lot of different compressor manufacturers out there, so he has experience on a very broad range of platforms here. So hope you enjoy it. Okay. All right, so we're here now with Don Parker from DLP Compressors, and I'm going to ask him kind of the same questions as we did some of the others here. So Don, how did you get into this industry?
Well, actually I was in the Navy for almost 10 years. And they sent me to a cryogenic school to learn how to make liquid oxygen and liquid nitrogen, and that's how I got into air compressors.
Oh, wow.
And then when I left out of the Navy, I went to work for another company that was mainly the green machine. but
So you worked directly for the manufacturer then?
Well, not directly. It was one of the distributors,
okay.
And I worked for them for like 15 years.
Oh, wow.
So after that, they mainly kept me in the paper mills and the big companies, and
so what did you do for them? What was
I was actually a service tech.
So you came from getting your hands dirty and
Getting my hands
you were the
dirty.
guy that was in the trenches,
Yep.
on the service calls. How did you transition from being a service tech into what you're doing now with your company?
Well, what I was looking at was that particular company at the time. The guys that made a lot of money and all that, they kind of like had targets on their back. So I felt like I had a target on my back. I was one of the top earners in the company, but
Okay.
I felt like I had a target on my back, so I went and started my own business.
Now, when you started your business, who was the line of compressor that you represented?
Actually, when I first started it, we didn't really have a line, but after about a year, we relied solely on service work, and then I picked up a line that was Bogue air compressors.
So Bogue was your first line.
That was my first line, and I sold them for about 10 years.
Wow.
Somewhere along in there.
And then after Bogue,
Matea.
Matea.
Switched over to Matea. I sold like 12, 14 Matea units last year. And it's real hard selling them units because they high dollar, real high dollar. And then we picked up Kaishan in March of this year.
Beautiful. So now, in comparison to your experience in the past with Solaire, with Boga, with Matea, how does that compare to the feeling and to the reality of who Kaishan is and your dealings with Kaishan in comparison?
They don't compare. The quality of machine, the biggest sales point that we have on selling Kaishan units is if I can get the customer there to look at the machine, I really ain't even got to say nothing else.
Right.
I mean, because the quality of the machine is just so obvious. Stainless steel, TFC motors, the controller. I mean,
Yeah.
the machine just speaks for itself. If
Coming from a service tech.
Yeah, if they'll look at it, they're sold on it just like that.
Yeah, and now in comparison to the quality of the build of the other major manufacturers today, there's a big difference in quality from where things used to be to what it is now.
Right.
And Kaishan, they're taking that same philosophy from years ago and they're putting it in their compressor today. So they're building compressor equipment that lasts 20, 25 plus years.
Right.
Whereas most of the manufacturers today are not doing that anymore.
No, they're not doing it anymore. They're cutting cost in the material. They're cutting cost in the equipment, the molds, just like the recips. You know, some of these other companies, they took and went from 1750 RPMs and said, well, if we can reduce the material size of this thing, spin it twice as fast, 3,500 RPMs, then we'll make more money at it. They won't last as long, but most people that's buying them's just shops, so they'll last them until they get out of the warranty anyway. Well, Kaishan don't look at it like that. You know, they selling good quality equipment, where a lot of these other compressor manufacturers are not.
Right. And if the end user truly knew behind the marketing that they see from the other larger name brand companies in comparison to Kaishan, do you think they would still buy the same way that they do?
No, I don't think they would at all. not at all.
Yeah.
Not unless they just want to lose money.
It's
you know?
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, Don, I appreciate it. Enjoy yourself.
Well,
We'll see you around.
All right. Thank you now.
All right, you got it.